the MPA's Military Performance Average. We're going to look at accessing your groups. Obviously, you don't want to be grading other people's cadets. Grade your own. How do you access those groups in Blackboard? Go to the Grade Center. We'll look at some grading. We'll look at the rubric itself, and then actually saving it, which seems pretty simple. You just hit the save button, but some problems have happened in the past where things were not saved. And so anyway, going on to the next cadet, and then those unassigned cadets that aren't a part of your assigned group. And so here on your main page of the Blackboard, when you come into Blackboard, you log in, your main page comes up, you have your course list over on the left there, and what you see here is not currently available. We just wanted to put out to you that that's just for the students. It's not available for them. You're in there as a grader, and so you will have access to it once it opens up. And so that's why it says not currently available. Okay. Jumping right into it, accessing your group, your particular group. So once you come into the Blackboard course that we've laid out for you here, a lot of the things that you're going to want to look at if you don't remember what we're talking about, or if you're passing this on to someone else, is to tell them to go into this resources link right here. This is going to have both the video that Dr. Jones just did, the one I'm doing now, and a lot of other materials as well. So people that don't actually come to these trainings can come in here and learn it themselves, or you can teach it to them. And so what you're going to want to do is come down here to the Grade Center area, open up Grade Center, and then there's a couple ways you can access your particular group. It's laid out with your department, your last name, your first name, so you can just kind of hit the down arrow and go through 500 names and try to find your name. If you're in the A's or B's or C's, that might be easy for you. Or you can hit Control F, and then you see up there in the top right-hand corner this find window, the search window that comes up here, and then type in your last name, and then it'll give you an easy way to find your group. And so once you do that, go ahead and click on that group, and then that'll bring you to the Grade Center area. Most of you are familiar with the Grade Center and how to grade your students, and so this is going to be easy for you. But you see there on the left, that's where all your cadets that will be a part of your group will be, and then you'll have your evaluators up at the top. On the other side there. Now you can come right into this window right here. You can just kind of double click into that window, and you could go in there and say 250. Yeah, they're great. These guys are awesome. Click right into that window and just type in a score and avoid going to the rubric and all that. But we really encourage you not to do that. Give us the data that we need. Give that cadet what they deserve. Rather than just clicking in there and doing that. So what you want to do is click on that down arrow right there, and then click View Grade Details, and that's going to take you right into the rubric. And so looking at that rubric itself, the next page it'll take you to is right here. You see your student, your cadet is going to be right there at the top. Their name will be there. And then you have these arrow buttons that will take you to the next student. If you've done any grading in there, you know how that works. That's important because that's an easy way for you to evaluate all your students in one sitting. And then you have down here the current grade value. Again, you can type the score right in there and override it. It's just the manual override feature, but we want you to click on that rubric and actually view the qualifications there for each of the rating columns. And so we'll go right into that. You can see the definitions that are laid out here. It's the same thing that Dr. Jones already showed us, but again, encourage people to read through there. You know, I know a lot of times you think, okay, this guy's pretty good, or this girl's really well, or she's not so good, or whatever, and you kind of have an idea in your mind of where they might fall into that category. But once you read through there, it's going to remind you of things. Oh yeah, his hair is always messed up. You know, it's gonna remind you. It's gonna bring some things to mind as you read through there. So we encourage you to actually go through there and read that, and tell your people to go through and read the entire thing. And so once you look at that rubric, you have these circles you can click into. This view up here, you can either have the view that we're looking at now or the list view, and we'll look at that just briefly. You are able to just click onto one of those columns. you can click on this bar right here, and that will give that person all the way down that standard, that rating. But you can go into the individual ones and click on them individually, and then that'll give you a breakout within that of the range that they should be at. If they're at the very bottom of meets the standards, or if they're at the very top of the meets the standards. And so you want to do that. Here's the submit button up here at the top. We'll look at that here in a little while, but it's very important. You can go through here and make all these inputs, rate your cadet, and give them tons of feedback, and then you go up and hit the X button at the top of that breakout window, and you've just lost all that data. So make sure you hit that submit button before you leave that screen. This again is the view of the list view. Some people find that's an easier thing to look at, as they just kind of go down the page and look at it. They can click through, but it gives you the same functions as the grid view, but it's just a different way of looking at it. Whichever one you want to do, it works. Here is, again, just one of the columns, the meets the standards column, and you see there, again, you can click at the top and it'll give them that grade all the way down, and then you can get some feedback in there as well. But I broke this out for you here. You see that when you click on that down arrow on each one of those blocks, for each one of those things that you're grading them on, you can put them at the very bottom of that standard, you can put them in the middle somewhere, and you can put them at the top, however you want to do it, whatever you feel that student deserves. But it is very important. I think, you got to think about the individual that you're dealing with and how this affects their career. This really is a career affecting thing. My son, one of my youngest son, just started the 9th grade. And I told him, all right, from here on out, it counts, you got to get good grades from here on out. Because for college and everything else, it starts counting right now. And so for these cadets out here, same thing. And military bearing, I think sometimes we want to just grade people and give them a pat on the back. Oh, yeah, they're a good guy or whatever. But if you're not giving them that feedback to get them to grow and get better at what they're doing or not doing, you're really doing a disservice to them. And so really think about it as you go through there and make those grade marks. Moving on. So make sure you save it. This page just basically says you got 2 places you need to save. Save the rubric itself as that breakout window, and you'll see it when you click on that rubric, it pops up as a pop-up window inside of the grading window. And so you'll do your marks there, write in your feedback, then you'll save that point, and then you go back to that other page which has additional feedback and a place you can make some grading notes and those kind of things. Maybe kind of an overall, I've graded you on these individual areas, made some feedback, but as an overall thought and encouragement, a direction you should go in, or really work on this stuff. I'm not, however you want to say it, but make it meaningful for them. And then again, you see down here at the bottom a save button. So both of those, the submit button and the save buttons, have to be hit. All right, now when you're moving on to the next cadet, we already looked at those buttons, the navigation buttons at the top, but then there's another button, a jump button, that you can go to, and that's just on this brown bar here all the way over to the right. You click on that, and then this additional bar and drop-down window shows up. You hit the drop-down, your students in your group will pop up at that point, and you can select them and then hit go, and that'll take you on to the next one. And then the third way is to actually go all the way back into the grading center. And then let's see, that's it for navigation. And then finally, the additional, evaluating additional cadets, ones that aren't assigned to you. There's going to be it's a whole other course, right? Just the optional course.
Right, it's called MPA
Optional grading course. And so you'll go into that, and the procedures are going to be very similar, and there's going to be some additional direction inside of that course to steer you through that as well. Any other questions? Dr. Jones, it's all yours.